Ora bem, eu vou fazer a apresentação em português e depois passamos para o inglês, ok? Vocês esta parte perceberam?
Okay, great.
First of all, I would like to thank you for your presence here today and to share with us your experience. It's really nice to have you here, okay, Kasia and Karolina. Well,
it's a pleasure for us to be invited to your conversation conference. Yeah.
Ok. Então, a Kasia e a Karolina nasceram as duas na Polónia, onde estudaram, fizeram um bacharelato em arquitetura na Universidade de Poznan.
Yes.
It says like this, ok. Da Universidade de Tecnologia da Polónia. No segundo ano, passaram algum tempo em Cottbus, ou trocaram para passar um tempo em Erasmus em Cottbus, na Alemanha, e foi o sítio onde elas se conheceram. Depois da graduação, decidiram ir fazer o Master em Berlim, e portanto, iniciaram esse processo do Master ou do mestrado, e foi a partir daí que as conhecemos numa experiência também de Erasmus em Lisboa, na Universidade Lusíada, depois, onde foram nossas alunas. Depois aliás, a Kasia no segundo semestre, a Karolina no primeiro semestre. Depois de um trabalho que resultou bastante interessante, na minha opinião, porque foi um trabalho que foi partilhado no primeiro semestre. A Karolina com a Lia fizeram um trabalho e no semestre seguinte a Kasia com a Elsa e com ajudem, a Valentina fizeram, deram continuidade a esse mesmo projeto, e foi muito interessante esta partilha e esta continuidade de um projeto que foi começado por umas pessoas e que foi terminado por outras, mas na essência o projeto manteve-se o mesmo e as preocupações eram as mesmas. Depois desta experiência semestral, cada uma delas na Universidade Lusíada, decidiram ficar em Portugal, em Lisboa. A Karolina está a trabalhar, está a finalizar o estágio, hoje é o último dia, pelo que eu percebi, no ateliê do Manuel Mateus, e a Kasia está também a finalizar, não é hoje, mas é em breve, no ateliê Aurora. So, thank you so much. Now you can talk with us about your experience. Thank you.
Thank you. I will try to share the screen. Can you see well? Okay. So thank you again for inviting us for this talk. Welcome everybody. My name is Karolina, this is Kasia, and we would like to tell you today about our experience of working and studying abroad. We are going to talk a little bit about our experience in Germany, but we will focus on the Portuguese part. So, our architectural path has started in Poland, in Poznan, as Helena already said, at Poznan University of Technology. At this time, we didn't know each other yet because on our year were many students, because it's a big university, so we had like 200 students on our year. On our third year of bachelor, because bachelor in Poland is 3.5 years, we decided to make an Erasmus exchange, and we both decided to go to Cottbus in Germany. It's for 1 year. And Cottbus is a small town close by Berlin. First I thought that maybe it will be boring, because I didn't know anything about this town, let's say, but it came out that it was a really nice student city with many international students from all over the world, from Asia, South America, America, wherever you can think about. And this was a really important experience for me, because I never thought before about studying abroad. I wanted just to try this experience and challenge myself. I knew basics of German, so I understood some stuff, but I was not really able to speak. But surprisingly, within 1 year, I improved a lot, and in the end, I was even able to present some small stuff in German. So this was the place where we met, and for both of us, the time of this exchange was a turning point in our on our architectural path, because we saw how a different approach. In Germany, we also could use ateliers 24 hours basically. We could use different workshops, and we both decided that we would like to continue and study master in Germany.
Yes, exactly. As Karina said, we were really impressed with the teaching in Germany at the University of Cottbus. I would compare Cottbus to Coimbra because it's like a very, it's a small city, only filled in with students. The atmosphere itself, it's very nice. It's easy to focus on your studies. There are ateliers that are very well equipped. So after finishing our bachelor in Poland, we decided to start our master degree in Germany. Before we started the studies, we needed to get a certificate of a language. So we took a gap year before starting our studies in Germany to get the C1 certificate in order to be able to study at any of German universities. And also what I really appreciate about studying in Germany is the structure of studies itself. It's very flexible, and you're really able, at least at our university in Cottbus, is very flexible, and you can easily work and study at the same time. So also at the time we moved to Germany, we started to gain our first professional experience. And yes, I think it's really worth to try to study abroad as a young architect. No matter if it's Germany or Portugal or another country, it's really like eye-opening, and I really recommend it. So also during our studies in Germany, we decided to take part in another student exchange, like in the framework of Erasmus Plus program, and we decided to move to Lisbon because we were like highly inspired by Portuguese architecture and also by the city itself. And Carolina, she moved to Portugal in 2019 in September, so she was the first one to arrive to Lisbon. And yes, she can actually maybe tell some first impressions.
So the second exchange was totally different experience for me, because coming to Germany, I knew basics of German. I've been to Germany before. It's also like our neighboring country. So everything was kind of more familiar. I've never been to Portugal before coming here, so I kind of put myself on the deep waters, and I just came to Lisbon. And from the first day, I was in love with the city. I was really happy. And
yeah, same for me. It was amazing to arrive to Lisbon.
And I must say that Berlin is a great city to live in. But from the first day in Lisbon, I had the feeling that this is the most beautiful city I've ever lived in. And very cozy, very beautiful, and I was really happy to be here. So as Kasia said, I arrived in September 2019, which was already 1.5 years ago. I was a little bit anxious because of the language, because as I said before, I had literally no knowledge in Portuguese except maybe bom dia and obrigada. What I think our professors can confirm, because they had to deal with it.
They had to be very patient with us, yes, with all the foreign students, what we really appreciate, by the way.
It's true, it's true.
Yes, yes. In the beginning, I wanted to learn some basics, at least to handle in everyday life. So I was taking part at, in a language course at Lusíada for 2 weeks. It was really intense time because I was the only person who was not Italian and not Spanish. So it was really hard to follow, but I've learned the most important stuff, like ordering food or ordering wine.
Which is very important.
I had the important basics, and then I've started my semester at Lusíada, and I remember, like, also after moving to Germany, you kind of get know the reality of studying in this country, and in particular country. And when I moved to Lisbon and started studying at Lusíada, it was also a really, I wouldn't say shocking experience, but it's something totally different to what you have to get used to. And I remember entering the project room, and I saw the works from the previous years, and it was so different from what we were doing in Germany. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. It's so like art, very conceptual, so many different methods of developing the projects. And yeah, I was a little bit afraid in the beginning, but again, it was another challenge to overcome. And in the end, the results which it created were far better than if the same project or the same topic I would have to develop in Germany. And yeah, I was doing a project with a German girl, Leah, and we both were kind of, we had to get used to Portuguese way of working. But as the time passed, we started really having fun with this and really liking and discovering different forms of expression. So not only Arqt or AutoCAD drawings, but we started making collages, working more with models, playing with this, working more with Professor Bernardo, with texts, which I've never done before, like having a more...
There were many different methods to investigate the project, and we weren't aware of it before coming to Portugal. And this approach is like very artistic and conceptual, but it's also very valuable because you have different perspectives. You can get the reference for an architectural project not only from architecture itself, and this is beautiful. And this is what we've learned here in Portugal.
So it was really nice to see this conceptual approach in Portugal in comparison to more pragmatic and functional approach which we had in Germany.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
the project at Lusíada is probably, you know, it's the whole year project. So as I knew that Kasia is going to come in the second semester, already during the semester, I talked with the teachers if it would be possible for her to kind of take over our work. And it was, in the end, it was beneficial for both sides because our project would develop, and Kasia could also enter the project in the middle of the year without the need of designing a totally new house or being in the back. She could just
I just continue developing the project of Karolina and Lea.
Yes. So after the winter semester, when we've presented our project with Leah, I really didn't want to leave Lisbon. I really liked living here, and I could not just leave it after half year. So I decided to stay longer, but instead of studying, I wanted to try the working experience in a Portuguese office. So I quickly prepared my portfolio, and eventually in the beginning of February, I started my internship at Arqt. And this was also the time
Yes, it was the time when I moved to Lisbon. I moved to Lisbon in February last year. So it was the perfect timing, 3 weeks before the lockdown started. A really amazing start. But even though it was difficult in the beginning, I enjoyed a lot. For me, it was slightly easier to start the semester in Lusíada because I already had the knowledge of Karolina. She explained me how everything works, what is the structure of the study itself. And we continue the project of Karolina and Lea with to our other colleagues, Valentina and Elsa. And yeah, as Karolina said, they started the concept of the project, the Tolentino's house, and we just continued the more detailed drawings of the house itself. We got to the point where we were supposed to prepare the execution drawings. And this is actually very nice because we work similar in a studio. Usually we have a team that is responsible for a concept and the other team is doing the execution drawings, right? So from that experience, we could easily learn that this that the teamwork is very important in our architecture world. Everything is about the communication, and in the end we really reached the point that we had a very nice project done by 5 persons, but it was really a very nice and valuable experience because it was analog to work in a studio, which I can confirm now, for instance. And yeah,
it was also really nice experience because I remember when Kasia was starting with the girls working on the project, we were talking with each other a lot. We were explaining them the idea of the project, telling them what we had on our mind, and they were trying to find the best way to continue it in the previous spirit. And the final result was, I think, very rewarding for all of us.
Exactly. Exactly.
So these were the beginnings.
We really enjoyed the time of studying in Portugal. And after, I also decided to stay in Lisbon to gain a bit of professional experience. I started my internship at Aurora Architects. And actually, it's nice because our path seems to be similar. We both studied in Portugal and then we started to work, but we work in the 2 completely different studios, mostly because of the scale of the studio itself. I work in a small studio. We are less than 10 people. So
as you know, Irish Mateus, it's a much bigger studio. Exactly. So we are around 40 people. And so it was also nice for us to exchange the experience between each other. Yeah, so in the beginning, when I started working in the studio, I didn't know actually what to expect because before in Berlin, I was working also in a really small studio with only 5 people. And I was really excited how it is to work in a bigger studio, but I was extremely surprised how good the atmosphere, working atmosphere was, how helpful and friendly everybody was. So it didn't matter on if somebody was in the studio 5 years, 10 years, or just 1 year. Always people were open to help and to guide me through the first weeks when I still didn't know how to what is the workflow of the studio. And also with the language, in Germany, I understood everything basically. Here I was suddenly surrounded with people who were speaking Portuguese all the time, but all of them were also speaking perfect English. So I had really no problems with communicating, with understanding what to do, and with really getting involved in the projects.
Yes, I was also concerned in the beginning of the language because of course we have the design part, but we also have the like the paperwork that we need to manage, and this unfortunately we cannot we cannot take part in this formalities of the project, and this is a pity. But as everyone,
the beginning,
exactly, this is also the beginnings are mostly not really about preparing the documents. It's mostly like just the introduction of the workflow and the structure of the office.
We have to remember that when we study abroad or work abroad in the field of architecture, we have another common language, which is the drawing.
Yes, exactly.
And also, like already in Germany, when we couldn't understand something while consulting with the teacher because of some specific vocabulary, we were just drawing what we mean, and it always makes things easier.
Yes, so drawing is our common language. Exactly. So similar to Karolina, I was also very surprised in the beginning with the welcoming atmosphere in my studio. I really like all my colleagues from the office. The atmosphere is amazing. It's very easy to communicate with them, and what I can say, it's easily visible here. All architects I met so far, they are really passionate about architecture in Portugal. So you can see that they really like what they do.
Yes,
and
it's not just a form of earning money.
It's not a form of earning money. It's not a form of having a good position.
It is as well, but
it is as well, but it's different than in Germany, I must say, because this, I don't know, like you can feel this. They are really devoted to their work, and it's something I really appreciate, because it's also motivating for you to work in this kind of environment. What can we say about our studios? Maybe about
for us, it was also interesting to compare our experiences between each other, because Kasia Studio is small, Mateusz is a really big studio, so also the way of working, the hierarchy is different. So we work here more in small teams led by a team leader, and then kind of coordinated by Manuel, and controlled by...
So you have a particular hierarchy.
Yes.
In the studio, which is not so visible in our studio in Aurora, because as we are less people, we need to divide our task equally. So mostly we all participate in the process of designing. Of course, our bosses, they are the ones who give the ideas, and we are just supporting them with our work. But the hierarchy is less visible as the studio is smaller. So I really recommend to work in a small studio if you want to work through all the phases of the project. I would say probably it's slightly easier to do it in a small studio than in a bigger, because the structure is more flexible, the structure of work itself.
Yes, and what about the types of the projects or types of tasks we were able to perform in our studios? I must say that I was really positively surprised how many different things I could do here at Mateusz, because when I started, first I was supposed to stay only for a few months, and of course, like every intern, I started in the modeling room doing models, and I thought, no, I'm going to do it for the rest of my internship, because like it was not my favorite part of architecture project to do models, and I had to develop a lot of patience for this, but I learned it here by working at Mateusz. But the only model making period, let's say, was just the beginning. Then I was able to, besides doing the model, I could really participate and create also drawings for the project. I started taking part in meetings with the client, of course only by listening because I don't speak Portuguese. But it was really amazing to see how people here work on a project. It was again really different experience to the one which I had in Germany, to the more pragmatic and functional one. Like even when we were consulting something as a team with Manoel, the way people talked about architecture, the words used were so poetical that I think I've never seen such a beautiful words at work in the office, you know. And I was really amazed by it. And yeah, like now it already a year has passed since I started my work here, and I was, as I said, I was working on the models, like conceptual models for exhibitions, drawings. I was able to work on the drawings for Licenciatura, for Execução.
Maybe you can also tell why is it so important, the model making, why
yes,
the role is so
also,
important.
Again, in the office in Berlin, I've done maybe 1-2 models. We were using this tool very rarely. Here in the studio, the models are done constantly. It's not only to convince the client to the project, to kind of to sell the project. It's also a way of thinking about the space. And I think at Kasia Studio, in the working process, you use more renderings.
Yes, we also do models, but we start our design also with 3D models, the digital ones. So basically the idea of developing this kind of digital picture is to show your first concept about the project itself. This is like the first impact you have on client. So, and also this is a tool for us to just like study the project and develop the design itself. And yeah, at Karolina's office, they focus more on the physical models.
Of course, and we also use images as tools, but first thing you do is the model. It's not creating rendering because it takes time. It's more to think in form of the model, and it can be Szwérowit model, Karolina model, 3D printed, done with Freza. There are many ways, and what I've learned, it's also a lot of fun to do. And now I'm a big model making fan, as my team also knows. Lately I'm a 3D printer freak because I learned how to do it, and it's an amazing knowledge. Okay.
Yeah, so basically how we start the project is slightly different, but I also had the opportunity to work in different phases of the project. In the very beginning, the basic structure or the organization of the office was presented to me. And yeah, after a while, I was just participating in all the phases of the project as well, as a support mostly, because of course I'm an intern and I'm still learning. But it was a great time for me. Definitely, I learned a lot from my colleagues, from the work.
Maybe what is worth mentioning is also a little bit about software we were working on, because
yes, maybe it's going to be interesting for students.
Yeah. So like in Germany, we were working mainly with Arqt. I don't know how it was for you as well. Arqt
yeah.
mainly. Here in both of our studios, we developed drawings in AutoCAD. To be honest, I learned AutoCAD at Irish Mateusz. It might be shocking for you, but this is how it was. And then we use different programs. Like here in the studio, we also, some teams use Revit for bigger projects, and Rhinoceros for developing a 3D, either for images or for 3D printed models.
Yes, exactly. So it's similar in Aurora. We also use the AutoCAD for the 2D drawings. And for 3D, we use 3D Studio with Corona renderer. And this is a nice workflow because you can easily import the drawings from AutoCAD to 3D Studio. Yeah, and I just recommend students to slowly start learning programs during their studies. Apart from sketching and making models, this is also a quite important skill because it's just easier for you to start in an office. And yes,
it's important to have to open yourself for this kind of knowledge and to try to get at least basics, because of course then if studio works in a certain program, you can learn a lot from your colleagues just by watching or asking for advice. Yeah, and actually what we've learned, I think we both, from the whole experience, both here and in Germany, more important in working abroad is not having specific skills or amazing knowledge or knowing really well certain programs, certain software. It's more about being open for learning new things.
Yeah, being able to work in a team,
that's really
being
important.
Motivated and enthusiastic, because you can easily learn everything if you're motivated enough. So really just be motivated and everything is gonna be fine.
Yeah,
I think it's really worth to take part in this kind of exchange programs, working and studying abroad, because
I think especially working, because Erasmus internship really gives opportunity to gain experience already during studies, and when you finish studies, you already have something in your CV and it's experience abroad. So you show that you are a person who's not afraid of challenges, and yes, and not afraid of going out of your comfort zone, which is your country, your university, and your language.
Yes, exactly. And with this accent, we just want to finish our presentation and we are open for any questions. Thank you very much for your attention. And now we can discuss everything you want.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was really, really nice to see what you have done in all these months. It was really interesting because I think Kasia, she came when the pandemic started, when the lockdown started. So she had most of the
1 month that she had.
Most of the time, you were at home. We are having classes from home. And it was really nice the way you reacted and how you worked with us with such passionate, maybe a way of working. It was really nice. You were almost Portuguese, not. Ok, thank you, both of you. Neste momento estão abertas a parte das perguntas. Eu gostaria de saber se alguém quer dizer alguma coisa. Aproveitem a oportunidade. Eu acho que é muito interessante perceber esta ideia de quem vem de fora para Portugal, porque de facto nós conhecemos muitos alunos que vão fazer Erasmus lá fora, e esta perspectiva de uma pessoa que vem e encontra este interesse, encontra esta forma de ler o nosso território e a nossa arquitetura, parece-me que é importantíssimo. Peço-vos que façam as perguntas em inglês, porque elas não vão perceber nada.
You can also ask in Portuguese. We might.
Did you understood what I said?
Of course.
Of course. Okay, I was telling them that it's really interesting to know the experience, the ones that come from abroad to Portugal instead of the normal one that our students go to other countries. And it's nice to see how you see the Portuguese architecture and how it is your experience. And then I was asking them to make the questions in English. Quem começa?
Bom dia. Acha que posso fazer a pergunta?
Com certeza. Quem é?
É o Denis. Preciso ligar o vídeo?
Sim,
É
claro.
sempre mais simpático.
Claro que sim.
Conseguem ver?
Denis, espera aí que hoje estou num... Sim, ok.
Okay.
Sim, Denis.
Um,
Can you make the question in English, please?
yeah, of course.
Okay.
First of all, thank you guys for doing this meeting. I think it's really nice of you. And I'm sure you're inspiring many other students here to do the same thing and going abroad. I think it's being very helpful, of course. I just wanted to know, like, what's the main reason that you guys wanted to come to Portugal? Out of all the countries, you could have done Erasmus or your I think you did your master's degree here, right? I wanted to know, out of all the countries, what inspired you guys to choose Portugal and not any other country?
Okay, so yeah, I don't remember exactly, but Portugal, like, of course, our university had partnership with Lusíada and the university in Porto. So when I was studying in Germany, also it was the first time I've heard more about Portuguese architecture and also about Irish Mateus. Yeah, and this was it was during the during the exchange in Germany, and it was first time I've heard about Irish Mateus and totally different approach to architecture. And for me, it was really life-changing is a big word, but it really changed my approach to architecture. So I started being more and more interested, like, in this country so far away from Poland or Germany, which maybe when you think Portugal, it was more associated with some holidays. But yeah, I started getting more and more interested. And also I wanted, to be honest, I wanted to do Erasmus in a warm country. And from Italy, Spain, or yeah, from southern countries, I wanted to try Portugal because I was really interested in this kind of architecture, and it was kind of mysterious country for me still, because I've never been. I've been to Italy before, I've been to Spain before, and I also wanted to have this opportunity to discover the country while living there, because it's totally different than doing holidays in some country. I don't know how it was
exactly.
for you.
I mean, it was similar for me. Like, first I was really impressed by the architecture itself in Portugal. Our professors, they show us art, like Portuguese architects or Portuguese architecture as a reference for our projects. And also, actually, I knew some people that they did already the exchange at Lusíada, and they really recommend it a lot. So, like, having this information, let's say, it was also encouraging for us to start the exchange in Portugal. And it's also a completely different culture, as you can imagine, from German or Polish. So it's also nice, this kind of experience, to see the difference in culture, also in culture of studying and working itself. And yeah, so for you, I would recommend to go to Germany or Poland for the Erasmus, definitely.
Okay, thank you guys very much.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Yes, we were waiting for more questions.
Posso?
Yeah.
Hello, Kasia
Hello.
and Karolina. It's very good to hear from you again. Nice memories, very happy memories.
To see you.
And congratulations for your path of life and working. I have one question for you, both of you. It is that both of you have been construing a broad experience in Europe. Okay, and what I want to hear from you is what you think unites us as a European civilization. Maybe this word is a little bit exaggerated, but instead of what differences we may have, which are of course significant, what unites us And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
The bureaucracy, maybe. It's difficult to deal with the paperwork, both studying and working. But no, yeah, apart from that, what is the common thing?
I think what I really appreciated while doing the both exchanges was the freedom of moving around and really freedom of studying in another country, working in another country without having significant problems, because I met in Cottbus or here many students who had to have visa to work or study, and it's so much harder for them. At this moment, I really appreciate that for us as European citizens, it's beside language barriers, whatever, it's really easy to move around and to have such an experience.
And I think European civilization, European people, they are becoming more and more open-minded, and I think those differences, like even cultural, they are slowly disappearing because we have kind of similar goals as architects or students, or yeah, I guess like really living in Europe is a great thing, so you should try to also move around our continent and yeah, try to work or study abroad. Really, I recommend it.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your
thank you very much.
Your words.
Well.
Very nice to see you.
Very nice to see you.
Thank you.
Mais alguém? Obrigada, João.
You can also ask questions in Portuguese, it's not a problem.
Let's see.
Yes, my Portuguese knowledge developed since I started, so I can already understand.
Ok. Portanto, já sabem, podem fazer as perguntas em inglês ou em português, fiquem mais à vontade.
Hi, good morning. I'm Pedro, I'm from the first year. Thank you very much for your presentation. It was great. As you are doing on-job training, what do you think, and what is your vision about what is the trends for the architecture for nowadays and for the future?
What is the trend? Like from, maybe I would say what I think personally what should be our trend in the future of architecture, let's say. I think we should focus more on finding more sustainable solutions, take more care about our environment, because the only thing that I don't like about architecture and our approach to designing architecture is that we pay attention to aesthetics, pay attention to creating atmospheres, but we slightly forget about taking care about our natural environment. And I would say that the future of architecture should be the focus on finding these more sustainable solutions in our designs.
Okay, and I have another question. I was even because you have that experience, you studied and worked in different countries. It's like the question that João did. Is there are global vision of architecture and designing, or are there are segments? In Portugal, people think in a certain way, in German they think in another way, or they are now thinking at the same vision or sharing the same vision?
I mean, of course, there are some similarities between designing in Germany or in Portugal, but because of the location, because of the different traditions, this architecture is unique, and it differs. So you have different materials, building materials here than in Germany. Like in Germany, it's more popular to, or there is a bigger trend to construct in wood, instead of concrete, just because there's more wood, and they orient themselves, it's in the north, they orient themselves more into direction of sustainability. So they experiment more in this field, but also, yeah, there are different.
But actually, the approach to architecture, it's different itself. I would say, like Portuguese architects, they are like we said, it's a little bit more poetical. They design architecture in a more poetic way. They pay a lot of attention to aesthetics itself, and also they really value craftsmanship, right? Because like in Germany, this trend of working with wood, with designing furniture for your for instance, we are in my office, we design not only the building itself, but also the interior, and this is
like beginning with
very important
door handles.
Yeah, we designed the details of the door handles, which you usually don't do in Germany, because you usually use the products that you have on the market.
You work in more standardized way.
So yeah, architecture in Germany, or like other countries around Germany, it's more how to say,
standard,
prefabricated, or not prefabricated, but just standard architecture with standard solutions. And here you really play with volumes, and this is what I really appreciate.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation, and thank University for providing us these kinds of meetings, because it's I think it's very important, and we learn more doing this. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Obrigada, Pedro.
In this topic, I wanted to add, because like I have the feeling that we as architects, we are kind of one of the privileged professions in terms of moving around, because and working, or at least in the beginning, doing internships in different countries, because except the language barrier, like if you know the language, it's easier. If you don't know the language, in some countries it's still possible to work. And of course the law differs a little bit, but it's always, you just need to know where to find the information, which you can always ask people who work here. And yeah, it's much easier for, I don't know, than for doctors or other professions to work in different countries. And I think we really should use these opportunities, because as you can see on our example, it's often like some like life-changing experiences, because you see something which you don't experience in your own country or neighboring countries.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mais alguém quer falar?
I think there was a girl, right?
Yeah, Inês. I think Inês was trying to speak, and then Pedro asked first. Inês? Yeah, there she is.
Thank you for your presentation. I would like to ask you if you pretend to stay more time in Portugal working, and what you think that distinguished you and draw attention to you when you applied to work in the studios you are in.
Yes,
so first, yeah, we would love to, because the first question was if we're planning to stay in Portugal, right?
Yes.
Yes, so basically we would love to stay in Portugal, but we need to finish our master degree, so we are going back to Germany.
Because we are still
semester. Officially, we are still students. But maybe after finishing our master, maybe we're gonna come back, because it's really nice to work here.
So for both of us now, it's like last weeks in Portugal, and we feel broken-hearted already. Yes. It will be really hard to leave, because it was an amazing experience, and we met a lot of inspiring people, and I'm sure we're going to come back at least for holidays to visit old friends. But personally, I don't exclude the possibility of coming back here in the future, like properly, for moving to Lisbon, not just for to Lisbon, or generally
not temporary.
Exactly.
Yeah, permanently. And the second question would distinguish us from other students that applied for an internship. Personally, I prepared also a printed version of my portfolio, and I took a lot of time to really think about the layout, about the projects I want to present. It's nice to show all your skills, like if you can draw, for instance, if you can sketch, show it in your portfolio. If you are good in model making, it's worth to show your models. And also
sometimes also it's not like the less, how to use it. It's better to keep your portfolio easy to understand and minimalistic than overload it with the information, because you have to remember that people who look through your portfolios, they're not going to spend 1 hour analyzing and trying to understand your projects. They will just go through, take a look, and if they find it interesting, or they see that you had different experiences also, like, again, doing internship abroad and gaining already experience during your studies shows that you're really motivated. And yeah,
yes, exactly. And also in your portfolio, you don't have to show all your projects from the university or the professional ones. Just choose the ones you think are the best ones. And even if those are just 3 projects, make the layout with the best projects, with the things you like the most, and present it in a minimalistic way, let's say. Because as Karolina said, people, they check portfolios very briefly, and
sometimes it's also
the first impression that was important.
Maybe not in COVID times, but it's also good to print portfolios and go to the office and hand it in person, because maybe you meet some person who you will have some small chit chat, and then the person will see that you're a nice character, and it does a lot. Like it helps you stick out from the crowd, because even like in here in Irish Matter or in Kasia Studio, and they get a lot of applications, and it's sometimes you're just unlucky. Maybe nobody will open the email you've sent. So just because they also have other work, and they're not going to spend hours on clicking thousands of emails from students. Yes, so it's not easy, but
it's not easy, but worth trying.
Yeah, and you have to have good strategy.
Thank you.
There is something really important to say, is that when Kasia makes this.
Helena,
Professor, I think you muted your microphone.
Yeah, I was saying that it was really, it is really important to say something, that I received 2 or 3 phone calls from studios that saw the Kasia's portfolio. So it's really important that you show your skills, really. This is the most important, because you have, all of you, when you prepare a portfolio, you have all the information, and you want to put all the information. And more important of showing all the projects is to show your skills. This is the really most important thing. And it was nice, because it's true. We are all the studios are receiving every day lots of portfolios. It's hard to choose, but when you look, the first impression is really, really important, as Karolina said. So show your skills more than just to put information on a paper. This is not important, because these go to garbage, all of them. And if you show the best part of the things you can do to the future, is something that you project to the future, not of the past. And I think sometimes people think that a portfolio is something from the past, and it's not. It's the capability, the possibility of doing something for the future. I think this is the big idea for the portfolios. Okay, more questions?
We're waiting.
Nós temos muitos professores, teachers.
Bom, posso entrar já? Posso? Hi, Kasia. Hi, Karolina.
Hello, good to see you.
Thank you for your presentation. It's nice to see you again. And what I had a lot of things to tell you and to tell today, but I'm at the end, what I thought, what I'm thinking about your presentation is the way you did it, and also the way you talked about your university time, and also about your professional kind of beginning of practice in architecture. And I think that it's just a point we have in our profession. You told that you felt that your teachers loved architecture, and I think that you love architecture also, and that's something that you try to have in your speech. So, and I think it's also important, and at my age, I'm always thinking about that, is what at the end of the day is really my sense of happiness, you know? And I think that it's very important to be happy in our profession, to have motivation, and that's what I think you talked today about. And also it's a fresh speech, you know. It's something that we are not bored. We are happy when we talk about our lives, and that's also very important. I just wanted to say that your kind of formation, what you did in your student's life, was really a very personal decision, because it's different when you want to stay just in one university, or at the end of the studies you decided to make 1 year of Erasmus. But when you split, when you want to be like a globetrotter in learning architecture, it's really a very personal way of being in the world. I don't know if at the end of this experience you will go back to your countries, to your born countries, but I have 2 questions for you. One is, what's your expectations for the future, for your future? Mm-hmm. And another one is, as you talked about the differences you see in the way we Portuguese architects do architecture, comparing, for instance, with Germany, I would like to know do you have any other countries you'd like to go working, even out of Europe? And which of them do you feel interested in their specific culture? Thank you.
Thank you. So do you want to
Okay, I can start. So personally, like I see my future, what I would like to achieve in the future is to be in a position that I'm able to work internationally. Like no matter if I work in a studio or if I have my own studio, I would really love to work internationally, be able to design not only in Poland or Germany, but also in countries like Portugal, for instance. And I think to achieve that, I just really need to keep doing what I do. So I'm on the right path, I guess.
I think also in terms of working internationally, it's really nice, and I would like to do it in the future, to work with people from different countries.
Exactly, yeah, to work
because everybody, from where we are from, has a different approach, and it's nice because we exchange this knowledge and we enrich each other, and then we are able to have a totally different view on the project or on the problem to solve.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and about the countries?
What other countries? I'm really thinking about moving to Switzerland. Like in the future, I think we have very similar plans, because I really admire the Swiss architecture, their approach to architecture, how they play with materials.
I think again it's something different, because maybe it's a bit more strict architecture comparing to the Portuguese, but also they pay a lot of attention to details, also in sustainable architecture. And it's, for me, it's kind of maybe next level, next experience, which I would like to gain. And yeah, for me also, for now, I don't see myself coming back to Poland. But I also don't assume I will live and work forever in Germany. Germany, it's a good place to work in architecture, but we have so many possibilities nowadays that it's worth using them. And after these both experiences, I feel that I would like to have more. And outside Europe, I don't know.
We really like Europe.
Okay.
Europe is a comfort zone, no? You have your comfort zone in Europe.
I think it would be also nice to gain experience in Asia, in Japan, for instance, because they have a very like their architecture is more compact, and they have very nice solutions, especially for residential projects. Like how they deal with minimum area, or how they solve some very tiny spaces. It's amazing. But so I guess it would be nice to have like experience working in Asia as well, for instance.
And I think also in your presentation, there's a thing that was also under your speech, was that the knowledge we get is not only from the teachers, it's also from the changing of experiences. And that's very important in our life and in our formation, to understand different point of views and to use it as knowledge. And that's it. Thank you.
We do agree.
Good luck for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fernando. Mais alguém? Algum dos professores presentes quer fazer alguma pergunta? Ou alunos? Estou a ver o Rui Alves cheio de vontade. Não, afinal não.
O segundo ano está calado.
Eu estou sempre com vontade, mas acho que temos que dar a palavra hoje mais aos estudantes.
Então vamos lá, estudantes, quem é o próximo? Não custa nada, é ligar a câmara e fazer uma pergunta.
Dos nossos estudantes do primeiro ano, já falou o Denis, mas podem falar mais. Acho que, até porque vocês devem ter curiosidade sobre estas coisas, porque estão a iniciar o curso. E acho que é interessante saber o que é que podem, quais são as perspectivas. Peço desculpa, também falou.
Pedro também era do primeiro.
Era. Pronto, eu consegui corrigir antes de... mas pronto, podem fazer mais perguntas, seria interessante.
Maybe in the meantime, when somebody thinks about the question, I wanted to add also, like I've been thinking a lot of times about it, that if I would stay in Poland, that for sure I would be done with my master already. I would be working since few years in the office in Poland. Maybe I would be able to proceed faster, develop faster in architecture. Like when I see my Polish friends, how what they do now, but the experience I got and all the barriers I had to, all the challenges go through, they were so enriching that I'm happy with every decision I've made. That I prolonged my studies. I took time to go on Erasmus again to work here because at our university in Cottbus, I took now a gap year to work in Irish Mateusz, and it's like, okay, you need more time to finish your study, but you're gaining experience. You're not going on holidays and doing nothing. You're kind of all the time self-developing. And yeah, maybe I'm not able to, to fill the forms like my friends from Poland, like for the municipality or whatever. But this is a thing which you can always learn in the studio you are. And there are many other experiences which are sometimes worth taking more time to get. This is what I want to say. Are there maybe some questions?
Perguntas?
I'm sorry, I don't want to monopolize the questions, but I have another one.
Go on.
Okay. Yeah, it was hard for you to get approved on the apply for an internship, or it was easy, you just contact one or two that you were interested and get approved instantly, or you need to send lots of or do lots of applications to get in?
So I think in the very beginning, when you apply for internship with no experience a lot, it's much harder. Like we did in Germany.
Our very first internship, it was more difficult to get it because we didn't know how to prepare our portfolio, how to apply itself, and we applied only by emails. But this time in Portugal, we knew exactly where we want to apply, so it was just a few studios. And while doing our portfolios, we've been thinking about work of these studios, so our portfolio cannot kind of like match your expectations. Yes. I guess.
We were also, of course, asking for advice our teachers, because we didn't know Portugal that well. We didn't know maybe if it differs the process of applying to the studios, but in the end, the hardest part is to get a meeting, because then where you have opportunity to talk people at the studio and to show what kind of person you are and like what kind of personal skills you also have, then it's already much easier. It's harder to get out of the crowd than to, I don't know, do an interview or
So what I would recommend is to really pick the studios you like the most, and while preparing your application documents, just prepare it in a way that it's gonna attract their attention.
Sometimes if you like some studios a lot, you should also prepare your portfolio more, like put projects which are maybe closer to what the studio does, or like, to show that they can use your skills.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you, and I'm done for the questions. Thank you.
You can ask more, there's no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Mais?
Já que o Pedro perguntou mais uma vez, eu também posso perguntar mais uma vez, se for tudo bem.
Acho bem. Claro.
I wanted to know how hard was it for you guys to adapt yourselves in living in so many different countries in such little time? And yeah, that's basically it. How hard was it for you guys to adapt with so much change in your lives?
I think doing Erasmus is easier because there's a lot of paperwork with the university, but it solves most of the problems. For me, a really big challenge was to move to Germany after I finished bachelor, because then you have to, there are many things, bureaucratic things you have to do. You have to get registered, like you have to have address. So you have to find apartment. For having apartment, often they want you to show that you have income, that you earn money to pay for the apartment. And then again, like when you find a job already, so you're lucky, you get a job, there are more problems coming, because for a job, you need a bank account, German bank account, you need
health insurance,
you need some different social security numbers, different things. And it's, in the beginning for me, it looked like a dead circle, because to get an apartment, I need a job. To have a job, I need an address. For job to open a bank account, I need address. So it was like a closed circle, yeah. But when it's really hard to get through it, and then it's easier when you know the language and when you talk with other people who went through this experience to solve these problems. Because like coming here to Portugal, I think, of course, it was really stressful to find an apartment, but like all the other things, also with work, it was more or less solved because of this Erasmus partnership.
Yes, exactly. Like the Erasmus internship or the Erasmus the studying abroad, it's easier because you have someone to help you with the documents. But on the other hand, but on the other hand, like when you try it once, when you move to another country, it's much easier to move to the other one, and it's like getting easier and easier because you know the procedure and also the way how it works. You're less afraid of trying new things, and in the end, it's not as difficult as it seems to be.
Yeah, I cannot share my experience with Portugal yet on this field, because as I said, like when you come for Erasmus, it's easier than coming properly. So I guess when you move properly to Portugal, you have to get a NIF number, and you have to have a bank account, you have to have Portuguese health insurance. So there are many problems to solve, but maybe we will have to solve it in the future. We'll see.
Yes.
Okay, thank you guys.
E agora? Mais alguém quer perguntar alguma coisa? Eu tenho uma pergunta. O Jorge Silva que está aqui presente é o Jorge Silva dos Aires Mateus, ou é o Jorge Silva, ou é outro Jorge Silva?
Olá, Helena. Está toda a gente no ateliê a acompanhar.
Jorge!
Está toda a gente a acompanhar, mas olha, eu não vou dizer mais nada. Vai, Helena.
Não faças nenhuma pergunta. Não, deixa-me só
não
uma coisa.
Ligadinho.
Não faças nenhuma pergunta. Eu queria... O Jorge, eu estava aqui, passou-me o nome de baixo do olho. O Jorge também foi aluno da Lusíada e o Jorge é um grande arquiteto. Também, eu gosto imenso, enfim, tenho acompanhado o teu percurso nos Aires Mateus e acho que é impecável. E, portanto, eu só te queria, era eu que te queria fazer uma pergunta.
Okay,
Como é que é esta, como é que é esta experiência enfim, o ateliê é um ateliê cheio de gente do mundo todo, não é? E, portanto, e estamos aqui a falar para alunos de arquitetura e acho que é muito importante eles perceberem também esta importância de se trabalhar num sítio onde, não só pela escala da arquitetura e dos projetos e pela diversidade, é quase uma segunda escola, não é? Este tipo de estágios, como também esta mistura de gente, penso que é muito enriquecedora. Queres-nos só falar um bocadinho da tua experiência já como senior architect?
Quer dizer, eu queria deixar a palavra naturalmente à Carolina e à Kasia, mas tu também acompanhaste sempre o percurso da Aires Mateus, portanto, sabes que eu trabalho na Aires Mateus, para quem não sabe, há mais de 20 anos, desde 98, e é claro que a Aires Mateus mudou muito, tem mudado muito e seguramente continuará a mudar. E continua a mudar pela escala do trabalho, pelas pessoas que a compõem, porque a Aires Mateus é claro que é liderada pelo Manoel, mas é tanto quanto mais valiosas forem as contribuições de cada pessoa que trabalha aqui dentro. E isso é um valor, e esse também tem sido pessoalmente uma característica do Manoel, que é estar disponível para ouvir as contribuições das pessoas e, enfim, quer dizer, incorporar, receber, fundir, no fundo, as contribuições de toda a gente dentro do ateliê, sabendo que o critério, o caminho, chamemos-lhe o que se quiser, é sempre definido por ele. E isto é válido para o quê? Para todos os retornos que nós temos tido dentro do ateliê. Portanto, nestes últimos 20 anos, provavelmente, eu acho que há uma conta que ninguém quer fazer aqui dentro, que é quantas pessoas é que já trabalharam na Aires Mateus. Mas eu acho que andam já bem acima de 200. E há uma componente que é grande do ateliê de pessoas que passam. E são pessoas que passam porque o ateliê sempre esteve disponível para receber pessoas em diferentes relações com a vida, né? Quer dizer, com diferentes idades, de vindas de diferentes países, com atitudes diferentes em relação ao trabalho, e nesse sentido é que as portas sempre estiveram abertas à maior diversidade possível de perfis de pessoas. Há pessoas que são muito técnicas, objetivas, têm determinadas interesses na vida, outras que são diametralmente opostas, e é claro que entre estas duas coisas há uma gradação infinita também de possibilidades de perfis para pessoas. Eu não me queria alongar muito em resposta, Helena, mas como é evidente, a Carolina aqui e a Kasia, suponho eu também no sítio onde esteve a trabalhar, trazem coisas que também são muito peculiares e que são muito únicas, não é? E que têm a ver até às vezes com uma liberdade de olhar que é diferente quando se está noutro país. De olhar, de propor, de falar, e isso é um valor, é uma disponibilidade diferente para o cotidiano, e que, quer dizer, neste caso, em relação à Carolina, foi muito bem recebida por toda a gente. Verás que, se calhar meia dúzia a uma dúzia dos nomes que tu vês aí são pessoas daqui do ateliê, e isso também quer dizer alguma coisa.
Sim, é impecável. Obrigada pela vossa participação também e obrigada por teres respondido, deves ter ficado escondido.
Pronto, ok.
Obrigada, Jorge. Mais perguntas? Aproveitem agora que a Kasia e a Carolina podem explicar-vos tudo sobre esta experiência delas, não é? Se o professor Rui Alves dizia que os alunos de primeiro ano tinham todo o interesse em falar com elas, eu acho que um aluno de quinto ano tem imenso interesse. Houve uma pergunta de um aluno de quinto ano que foi a Inês e não houve mais.
E do segundo não houve nenhuma.
E todos os anos pode haver interesse, claro.
Então, claro. Eu estava a puxar agora pela minha turma.
Nós percebemos.
Mais alguém quer fazer alguma pergunta? Parece que está tudo em silêncio. Bom, parece que não. Temos aqui one last opportunity to ask something to Carolina and Kasia.
Eu abri o Teams, como tenho o Teams aberto, enviei a mensagem, mas eles não estão um bocado ensonados ainda, se calhar.
Shy, they are shy. Bom, se calhar não há mesmo ninguém. Vamos dar uma última oportunidade. I know we talked about of this today, Kasia and Carolina, but I think it's nice to say again, what advice would you give to someone who wants to go for an internship outside the country? And you spoke a lot about it, but I think which is the most important thing to you? Is this that they feel free to go because the world it's for all of us, and we can just choose the same way we choose a studio, we can choose a country because we love this kind of kind of architecture and we want to learn more. Or do you think I don't know, can you please tell me what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I think it's important to research a little bit, like in a country about which we feel fascinated, the architecture. If, for instance, if we don't know the language of the country, if it's possible to work with English, then research studios. If we don't know the language, there should be more international, bigger studios. It's always advantage to know basics of the language, because also when I worked in Germany, at least I could understand some stuff, but I had Italian colleague who also was working with us. She knew only English, and I saw how much easier for me was to participate in the project just because I could speak German. But yeah, it's just the question of
just start with a little research about the country and also about the studio where you want to work, and with that you can really start to apply for a position that is your dream position.
Of course, it's easier to start in Europe because it's maybe more familiar surrounding. There's less bureaucracy than in comparison with, for instance, I don't know, moving to Mexico or to Japan. Yeah, but it's worth starting with small steps and encouraging yourself, because sometimes when you succeed in this first small challenges, you get even more and more motivated to try more.
And also sometimes it's worth to find a person who already did it before, like someone who worked abroad, someone who studied at your university and participated in this kind of exchange program, for instance, then it's just easier because you can exchange the information with the person and also kind of get inspired by the story of someone, right? Yeah.
Okay. So one last question just to finish the session. No, no one.
Everyone is getting slowly hungry because it's
yeah. It's lunchtime.
slowly the lunchtime. That's why people are less motivated to talk.
Okay. If no one has one question, let me just check, because I'm on a phone, not on computer, and I don't see anyone, so it's really hard to find some names. I have to pass. So if no one wants to ask questions, last opportunity, no. So it was really, really nice time here with
Acho
you
que havia
today.
mais alguém, ou Helena.
Ah, é? Não
Ouvi
vi, não
qualquer
ouvi.
coisa. Quem é que falou?
Quem foi?
Ah, ok. Não, peço desculpa, é no Teams.
É no Teams. Ok. So, thank you so much. Muito obrigada, Kasia and Karolina. I wish you all the luck for you for the future. Of course, if Flip? No? Rui? No. It was Teams also. So I wish you all the luck for the future, and I hope you can come and visit us again. You are always invited. You have to pass at our studio also. And I think it was a really nice talk this morning with you, because I think it's really fresh the way you speak about your studies, your profession. You speak it in a way, a passion about the way this experience makes you see architecture and work on architecture. I think you were very, very clear when you explain us these differences in between the way in Portugal that we make and we teach and we learn, and in Germany, in several countries. And I think this experience and this mix with people and these different kind of ways of doing, from concept to very technical, this all together, it's your story, and this is the way you are going to make architecture. This is your file. So I think this is nice for the students to see also, because we are making our profile with these different experiences, and that's the thing. I think it's the most important about going outside, going abroad, living in another country, sharing
new experiences. This is the most important.
Yeah, I think
in your own country, it's just worth going out of this comfort zone to.
Yeah, that is. So thank you so much. Obrigada às duas. Eu gostaria também de vos convidar para a próxima sessão, de hoje a uma semana, que vamos ter como convidados os Tejo. Os Tejos são dois arquitetos que começaram a fazer imagens de arquitetura, aquilo que é chamado mais normalmente 3D, embora a maioria das pessoas que o façam não gostem de chamar 3D. Os Tejos têm dois ateliês, um que faz arquitetura e outro que faz imagens, e portanto acho que também nos vão partilhar connosco a sua experiência pós-universidade, que eu acho que também vai ser muito útil. Kasia and Karolina, bye and thank you. All the best.
Thank you very much. It was a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Bye.
Obrigado.
Bye.